Hello, everyone. This is Caren Glasser, and welcome to this episode of The Passion Point. This is the show where we follow passionistas from around the world who are following their passion, making a living, doing what they love. And I'm really delighted to have my guest today. We have tried to do this multiple times, and technology keeps getting in the way, and I'm just so excited that we're both in the same place at the same time. Of course, Sheila where she is and myself where I am. Her name is Sheila Kennedy, and she is the T-H-E capitalized confidence coach and lead by example girl, which I love that. As she learns, she shares. Building confidence began as a last-ditch effort for survival, then became her life's calling. From insecure, divorced, single mom, I can't even picture you as insecure, Sheila, quite frankly. Struggling to make a living, to best-selling author, speaker, and coach. She has a new book coming out. She's going to share how to build the confidence you need to build the life, business, and platform you desire. So welcome to the Passion Point, Sheila. Come on in.
Well, thank you, Caren. It's so good to be here. I'm so glad we finally got this to work.
I am more excited than you are, quite frankly. I really am excited. I'm always excited when people are able to, just take the technology and shake it and figure out a way to get in, because technology can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So today we're talking about passion. So let me give you a Webster's Dictionary definition of passion, and then I'm going to ask you, what's your definition of passion? So Webster says that passion is a intense, driving, or overmastering feeling or conviction. What does Sheila say passion is?
Passion is what gets me up in the morning.
That's a very good, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So sometimes, and I think that we can be passionate about different things. I think that, I'm passionate to be alive. So, okay, I want to get out there and live, because I've been in that, survival mode where life was just a series of events that we got through during the day to get through to tomorrow. And I was not passionate about that life. So, today I've built a life that I'm very passionate about, because I enjoy all of my interactions, and I enjoy all of the feelings that come up, and, the people I get to meet, and the things I get to observe, and the miracles I get to experience. So I am very passionate about that. I'm also very passionate about business. I'm passionate about my daughter. So whatever gets you up and moving,
yeah.
I think that
Absolutely.
is something that, defines your passion.
I love that. And, I want to find out what actually turned you into the new direction that you are now in. So let's talk about your story. We don't have to go all the way back, but let's start where you actually, what we talked about, that you were a divorced single mom. What happened? I mean, how did you turn the switch and go in the direction you are? Tell us your story.
Well, like I said, I had the perfect life from the outside, and I lived in the fishbowl, and everybody, was seeing everything that was going on, and I didn't want, but I was miserable, and I was very successful, but I was not happy at all, and there was a lot that was going on, but I couldn't share with anybody because I was in the fishbowl, and people were looking and seeing that there were, I was not somebody that would have an imperfect life. I worked really hard to show people that, my life was awesome and I was awesome. And so you all need to do business with me and let me teach your kids and all of that kind of stuff.
Let me stop you for a minute, because do you think that this is something that is woman-centric? That we live what appears to be the perfect life. Everyone thinks everything's perfect. I really resonate with what you're saying. And I took life-changing direction because of that. Do you think this is a woman thing?
I think, no, actually I don't. I think it's a man thing too.
Okay.
But and the reason I say that, but I think there's a lot more pressure on men to be honest and imperfect. They don't seem to care as much,
right,
or they appear not to
right,
care as much as women do. We take it very personally when we tell our stories or we share things about our imperfections. We strive really hard to be that perfect person. We want to be the perfect spouse. We want to be the perfect mother. We want to be the perfect business person. Whatever. So I think we feel a lot more pressure to do that. But I think if men actually when they finally look at it and say, oh, but I'm not all that I think I am, or that people think I am, it's a lot harder for them to admit publicly and be honest.
Right.
So, I'm not so sure, but I do think women have an awful time with this. My story is not, I'm not the exception. I'm the rule. And, I think the people that aren't afraid to be authentic or to be imperfect in front of people is actually the exception rather than the rule.
So you had this perfect life.
Yeah.
At least everyone thought it was. What happened?
Well, I decided, there were some things happening in my marriage. I would say that it was an abusive, emotionally and not necessarily physically, situation. And it finally got to a point where, my little girl looked up at me and said, Mommy, we can't live like this anymore. And I was like, oh, what am I teaching her? So, I went through a series of, events that I ended up leaving my husband and getting a divorce. And I ended up selling furniture. I had my own staging business, but that was not feeding me. And so I got another job and I was selling furniture and, all that kind of stuff. And I was pretty miserable. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I was like, okay, wait a minute. You have been a life skills instructor for the Army. You have been a middle school theology teacher. You have owned your own business for 3 or 4 years. And you're feeling like this. There's got to be something more to this, And so I started digging in and did a lot of introspection. Realized that I wasn't very confident, that I didn't use my voice, that I didn't feel I was worth, being heard and all of those kinds of things. So I built those skills. And
Wow.
A lot of confidence is really about skill building.
Right.
And, we're not confident in things we don't know. So my goal is to know them.
Well, you talk about what you learn, you share. So is that part of this journey that you are on and continue to be on?
Absolutely. I was very fortunate when my very first job, I was program manager for this life skills instruction piece for the Army. And it was created by spouses, actually, of, commanders and senior level, soldiers. And their goal is that there were all of these spouses and soldiers that were being put into leadership positions or were not self-sufficient, and they had no idea how to cope. And so they were passing on the lessons that they had learned now in their senior leadership days. And so they created 40 classes that taught people to be better communicators, taught people how to be problem solvers, taught people how to manage their time, their stress, their meetings, how to do presentations, all those kinds of things. And so I learned, that was my first experience in, the workforce. And so that stayed with me because I saw the difference that made in people. And, how many of us would love to have a mentor that is, leading us all the time.
Right.
And so that's what I want to do. I have that servant heart that I want to share, I'm not saying you have to do what I did, but learn from what I did so that you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. That's very important to me. So I'm all about walking my talk.
Well, I love that. So you started this company, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was it an overnight sensation?
Oh my gosh, no.
I love that. I was actually asked a question the other day. Do you consider yourself lucky? And I went, no, not even kind of. Everything I've worked for, everything that I have. It may look like it was an overnight sensation. That's why I asked that question, because people tend to think when you're successful, it must have just like that, you decided to do something. So what was the process? So you decided you were going to go in this direction. How did you launch your business?
Well, I actually started as a youth coach. I was working with kids, and I was teaching them how to be better people because I saw some adults around me that I was like not impressed with. I was married to maybe one of them, whatever. And so I didn't want them to get to where I was and go, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this differently. I wanted to train them from the beginning. And so I did that for a long time, but that there wasn't enough support. When you're working with kids, there's not enough support. If the parents aren't partnering with you, if the schools aren't partnering with you, then that becomes an issue. So I realized rather quickly that I needed to actually train parents instead, because if we trained parents, especially mothers, then they would then pass those lessons on to their kids, and they would create that environment that was conducive to their success. So I started working with,
I have a question. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but you just things keep coming to my mind as I listen to you. So you started working with parents, you said, and mothers in particular. Do you think that because you worked with them with confidence and becoming more confident, they became they became better parents?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. I really do, because again, if you believe that again, our lack of confidence it's usually around judgments that we make based on past experiences. We don't trust our judgment. We don't make decisions well. We, spend a lot of time questioning if we're doing the right things and all of those. If we could take that out of the equation, because we realized that all of those situations were actually gifts instead of, detriments to our personalities and, things like that. If we take that out, then of course we're going to become better parents. We're not going to sit and, internalize, did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Can I recover from this? How, if we're solid in our communication skills, if we're solid in the environment that we're providing for our children, if we're reframing choices and we're teaching them how to do that, of course we're going to be better parents. Yeah, I absolutely do think that there's a huge correlation. Those that are more confident and actually have adopted that confidence at your core, you are setting yourself up. You've created a platform for success, whether that's in parenting, in interpersonal relationships, if it's in your job, if it's in your career, if it's in building your business, whatever. This is the foundation. And if you can be confident in that foundation, of course it's going to, resonate throughout. It's like that pebble in the water. So it's going to extend. Yeah.
So you started working with these moms, these parents.
Yes. And it was great. And I loved doing that. And, it was a lot of fun. And I did work with a lot of abuse victims, a lot of people that were down on their luck, didn't have a voice, didn't know how to use it, didn't, find their value, see their value. And as a side gig, I was, working with business owners, just having coffee with them and networking with them and that kind of thing. I was like, oh, well, have you tried this and have you done that? And, all these things, because as I was learning to have my own business, I studied a lot, and I have watched how people have done it and, have really adopted a lot of those things. A lot of them I couldn't, because I didn't have all the confidence I needed, or there were things that were right. Where, I share what I learned. Right. And if I have this as an obstacle in my way, then I figure out how to get around it. But I need to learn. And so I was doing that on the side, and I wasn't never charging money for it. I was never considering myself a consultant. But I was doing some really major work with strategy and getting to the heart of people's messages and helping them really define what that was and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, in December of this year, I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is what gets me up out of bed every day. This is what's very exciting to me. This is, to build something where there wasn't anything, and to give people the tools in order to promote it and all of that kind of stuff. This is what I get juiced up about every day. And I'm not making a living at that. This is something I'm just doing for fun. I was like, wait a minute. I'm missing the boat here.
Yes.
Because
that's a huge shift to start asking for money for something that you've been giving away.
Yeah. And so, part of that is this, I'm wrapping all of this up into a new book. And, I realized that when I wrote my first book, You Had It All Along, that's about confidence. And there's a difference between confidence and self-esteem. And that's more of a self-confidence, self-esteem kind of point of view. This is you feeling really good about who you are and what you have to offer the world, not necessarily how you do it, because there's a difference that way. And so I'm writing this new book, or, I'm almost finished with it, and it's called Choices to Changes. The confidence coach shares the practices of confident entrepreneurs. And because that's where my heart is, that, I want you to feel confident in, yourself, obviously. But what are you going to do with that? What do you have all this value, you have these gifts, you have these talents, but how are you putting them out in the world? And how are you sharing them? And so that's what I'm, really driving people to do right now. And absolutely can't wait to get out of bed every morning, and I hate going to bed at night. So,
Well, it's
I
funny.
think I found it. I found that passion.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm sure that our viewers are listening to you as I am listening to you, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, you can just see the passion is just pouring out of you. You are obviously passionate about what you're doing, and I think that you don't just talk the talk, as you said, you walk your talk. And that's awesome.
Thank you. I'm really, I try hard.
So what do you tell people if, you obviously know what passion is, you know how it feels. What do you tell people that come to work with you that have lost their passion and can't see, or they have no idea what their passion is because they have been doing that 9-to-5 thing for so long that they just, they don't even know what gets them out of bed?
Yeah.
How do you work?
Okay, well, I have like a guide. This is called the Confident Entrepreneur's Guide to Messaging and Branding, if for lack of a better title. And what it does is it actually helps them dig in. Well, first place I always start them is with reading You Had It All Along. If there's an activity guide, it's really an activity guide. There's probably 30 or so activities for them to determine what's important to them, what their value is, what they're all about, what their values are. And that's really important. We have to start there. We have to know ourselves before we can present ourselves and offer ourselves to the world. We have to know what we're offering. And that's what that guide does. So they start with the book, and then they start with the messaging and branding guide, because what are you mad about? What are you upset about? What keeps you up at night? What keeps you angry? What makes you really happy? What, all of those things, and then we find what it is, what's the thing, and sometimes it has nothing to do with what your skill set appears to be or what you've presented yourself as. It could be something, not a nonprofit organization. It could be, I get really mad because people don't exercise the right way, or I get tired of, whatever. It can be lots of things that you don't even realize that has been laying there underneath the surface for a long time, but nobody's asked you the question.
So true. So true. I mean, I have recently been going through that as well. I mean, I'm a singer by trade. Yeah, I work with people. I do what I do. And I'm a clergy woman. I mean, I am very involved in that. However, it's become very clear to me that really what I'm passionate about at this stage in my life, and I think every stage we tend to, something else comes up. I mean, I love technology. I love it. Yesterday I got on a blab for the first time. I don't even know if you know what it is. Yeah. First time, because I've been periscoping and doing all that stuff, and somebody invited me on a blab, and I was vibrating. I was so excited. It was like, oh my gosh, literally. I mean, oh my gosh. And I got off of it, and I realized those are the feelings that you want to identify, so that when it comes across your stoop or the door frame or whatever, that this is, oh yeah, that makes me feel good. Is it a feeling inside? I mean, is it a gut thing?
Well, and this is, I call it actually a zebra moment. And I'm going to do a little backstory to tell you what that means. The zebra is important to me. You can see I have it on. If you saw my office, if I turned it around, you can see the zebra pictures up and all that good stuff. The zebra is a visual reminder to me that we have the power to choose. I was in a situation where I was backed up into a corner. The rock was coming towards me. I did not know how I could get out. I literally said the words to a friend of mine, I have no choices. And he's like, you always have a choice. I'm like, no, not this time. I'm going to get smashed. And he's like, no, Sheila, you always have a choice. I realized once I started thinking about it that I surely did have choices. And I did think differently. I got myself out of the corner. I got myself out of that situation. So I realized I can't always choose myself out of the situation, but I do get to choose my reaction. A few months later, I read a poem by Shel Silverstein, and he had it was called The Thing About Zebras. And he asked the zebra, are you white with black stripes or black with white stripes? And the zebra answered with things like, well, are you good with bad habits or bad with good habits? Are you quiet in a noisy world or noisy in a quiet world? And it went on. And it became that visual trigger for me that I have the power to choose. So I have it everywhere. I wear it. I've branded myself that way. That's very important. So when I talk about the zebra moment, for entrepreneurs especially, it's that moment that you decide that the message, the offering, the product, whatever it is that you want to put out into the world is more important than avoiding the discomfort of sharing it.
Oh,
because there's a lot of discomfort in sharing. We're going to be rejected. We're going to be hated. We're going to have people naysay. All those things. There's going to be doubters. There's going to be people that are just like not receptive. And it's hard. And if you don't have that passion behind the message and knowing that that's more important, then you probably won't succeed as an entrepreneur. So I think that maybe yesterday was one of your zebra moments, Caren.
Yeah, I love that zebra moment. I think I'm gonna R&D that, Robin duplicate. That's awesome. I love Sheila Silverstein. That's a great book, and I really thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
So I'm a quote girl.
Okay.
I wake up in the morning and I find quotes that I like. And if you go to all my social media, you can see things plastered up there. And it's really not so much for my network as it is for me, because it is how I'm feeling at the moment. And so today's quote, and it's anonymous, I do not know who wrote this. If you catch yourself working hard and loving every minute of it, don't stop. You're on to something big, because hard work isn't hard when you concentrate on your passions. Perfect quote for us today.
Love it. I love it. Absolutely.
I wish I knew who said it. I don't know who said it, but it is a great quote. Are quotes something that are important to you? Do you have a quote that you live by?
Oh my goodness, I have lots. I have lots. And I think, a lot of it has to do about, revolves around our choices. And I think it's very powerful. One of the turning point in my life was realizing that I had a choice when I didn't think I did. And so I don't always have the power to choose myself out of a situation, but I do have the power to choose my reaction. And that is something that, drives me every day. So I will be in the middle of something going, really? And then I think, okay, is that how I want to react? Is that what the gift I'm supposed to be wrapping up? Is that, or, unwrapping, is that really how I want to receive it? Or give the message off that I'm receiving it that way? That changes the game for everybody, I think. So I would say that's probably it.
So if you could spread passion dust anywhere around the world, on anyone, who would you spread it on, and what would you hope to accomplish?
Okay. I would probably spread it on entrepreneurs. Okay. I really okay. So, and what I would want them to do, or want this passion, to come through, is to stop judging their productivity, to stop judging where their progress. To stop defining things as failures or successes. Everything's a gift, and if they could, their passion will stay alive if they stop getting involved in the negative judgment of it, and deeming it silly, or oh, that won't work, or discount hope and all of those good things because they're not sure. If they could become more confident in their passion and knowing that it's there for a reason, it was given to them, it's a gift. And how are they going to, promote it? There's ways to figure that out. So, but they get so stuck in judgment of their passion that they don't share it. And they don't.
That's profound, actually. That's profound. Thank you. I hope that our viewers are really taking notes. I don't know if you noticed, Sheila, I'm busy taking notes here. I really love the idea of choices, and I love the idea that your new book that's coming out momentarily called Choices to Changes. I think I hope that our viewers will take advantage and go go check it out. Go over to Amazon. There will be a link to the book directly below here. Go check it out. See what the book is about. You've already had a sense of who Sheila Kennedy is and what she brings to the table. She brings her passion. There's no question about that. Any last thoughts? Where are we going to send them right now? To your website? What website are we going to send them to? And what do you have over there that's cool and
Sure.
neat?
Yeah. There's plenty of information. I have all kinds of resources and things, and it's www.confidenceatyourcore.com. But one of the things that I try really hard to educate, people on is that you have confidence already. We have confidence in certain things. Some of us are confident drivers. Some of us are confident parents. Some of us are confident marketers. Some of us are confident in technology. There's all kinds of different areas that we're confident in. So I would hate for you to spend time, energy, and money determining, what areas you're not confident in. So I have this free resource, this tool called Rate Your Confidence Tool. It's over on my homepage. Absolutely download it. Take that quiz or, use the tool to find out what areas you may need to feel a little bit more confident in. And that way you can direct your attention in learning the skills that you need, or finding the mentors that you need, or finding support around those areas, so that you aren't spending your time spinning wheels on things that you've already got covered.
That's so true. That's so true. So thank you for that. Confidenceatyourcore.com. Go check it out. Go do that little exercise, and then after you've done it, get in touch with Sheila Kennedy, because she will be able to help you basically find your passion. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Any last thoughts you want to share with our listening audience or viewing audience?
Well, I have a series up on the website as well. It's called Confidence Exposed. And I think that a lot of times we think that our lack of confidence or moments of fear and doubt are special just to us. And that's so not true. We all have those moments of fear and doubt. And so what the Confidence Exposed series does is I have entrepreneurs that share moments of their careers where they have had either insecurity or doubt, and they've summoned their courage and are now stepping out and being confident or becoming more confident. And they're sharing their stories. And I've absolutely loved this series. We're about, a few weeks in now. And I can't wait. I think it's really important for people to understand that they're not alone, that we all have that the measure of confidence isn't that we have fear, or, our lack of confidence isn't that we have fear or doubt. What the measure of our confidence is how long we stay in those moments. And so I really, I'd love for you to go check out all of that series. Some awesome entrepreneurs out there that are really living their passion and summoned up that courage so that they could become more confident.
It's a great series, and I do hope that our viewers will go check that out as well. Sheila, you're awesome. You are passionate. You are confident. One last question for you. Why are you the confidence coach?
Well, I think because I came from a place of not feeling like I had any. And so I know it's at stake. I know that it impacted my whole life. And so because of that, I don't think anybody else can do it the same way I do it. So I am the confidence coach.
And you know what? With that, obviously, you have confidence, because it takes somebody with confidence to be able to say what you just said. And but truly, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank our viewers as well. We know that you have a choice as to where you spend your time. Our time is very valuable. So we want to thank you for spending time with us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of The Passion Point. Goodbye, everyone.